Hello guys, welcome back to another event of Future Unchained Toronto. This is our 5th event and also our last event of the Introduction to Human Trafficking series. Today we will be focusing on organ trafficking. Organ trafficking, it may be a little bit like of an unfamiliar term to some of you guys, but it's basically just, in short, taking out the organ of someone else without consent and selling them illegally. So it's very unethical and illegal, and we will basically introduce you guys to this crime. Yeah, but before we start, I would like to do a short land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that we're hosted on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. I acknowledge that Toronto was covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty, signed with the multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. We also recognize the enduring presence of all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples. I also want to express gratitude to the Indigenous, Black, and Brown femmes, Two-Spirit, trans, and queer folks who are leading change to make it a safer world for everyone. We are grateful for the opportunity to live, work, and learn on this land, and to care for it alongside Indigenous caretakers who continue to and have been doing it for generations. So again, an introduction for those of you who may not be familiar with us. Who is Future Unchained? So we are a nonprofit organization, and we hope to serve and empower victims of human trafficking. We're founded in California, the United States, but we have then since expanded to other states as well, including even abroad, which we are here now, Toronto, Canada. Our main chapter has done a lot of great work. They have published a highly detailed curriculum on their website and have hosted various in-person workshops. We are also going to, catch up on that soon when COVID is over, hopefully by the end of this year. Yeah. And to view our website, feel free to scan the QR code down there. And if you scroll to the very bottom, you can go to the main chapter's website and you will see the curriculum that we are talking about. Great stuff. You should read through it someday if you are interested. But yeah, not now because you're listening to us for now. But next one is, what is human trafficking? So human trafficking is the transporting of victims for monetary, labor, or sexual intentions, and it is considered modern-day slavery. Therefore, as mentioned before, it's unethical and illegal. Yeah. So for today, we will have a few activities. For those of you who have been here for the other events of the series, you may be familiar with the structure, but we're going to start with an icebreaker, and then we will go into the organ trafficking info main session. We will also look through a real case study, and lastly, we will play a Jeopardy game to test how much we have learned. I'll give it out to Delaksha for the icebreaker, and have fun.
So their organs, they're being deceived. They're human organs where the goal is to gain a profit. I think of organ trafficking and how it refers to a wide range.
What is organ trafficking in general? So the term organ trafficking is commonly used to refer to a range of criminal activities, including illegal organ harvesting from a living or dead individual, and the illegal sale and transplantation of human organs. Organ trafficking may be considered part of a broader market that includes tissues, cells, or other human body parts or products, referred to by some as a red market.
So here are some illegalized Canadian laws of organ trafficking. So section 279011 is about trafficking of a minor, so someone that's aged under 18. So they're impacted, and the offense involves kidnap, aggravated sexual or non-sexual assault, or even death. And a penalty, so the minimum penalty is 6 years, and the maximum penalty is life imprisonment. There's section 27902. It's about the reception of financial benefit or material benefit. And if there's an adult victim involved, the maximum penalty is 10 years imprisonment. And if there's a child victim involved, the minimum penalty is 2 years, and the maximum penalty is 14 years imprisonment. There's section 27903. It's about the withholding or destroying of documents. So these are personal documents that expose one's identity. If there's an adult victim involved, the maximum penalty is 5 years imprisonment. And if there's a child victim involved, the minimum penalty is 1 year, and the maximum penalty is 10 years imprisonment. There's section 27904, This is the most specific or particular offense that we found in the criminal code that was against organ trafficking. So it's about the act of deceiving, threatening, or coercing, meaning forcing one to have organ or tissue removed. And there's also a UN Palermo Protocol, so UN standing for the United Nations. It's an international protocol created by the United Nations, and I believe 150 countries have signed this protocol thus far, including Canada, and its purpose is to prevent, suppress, and punish acts of organ trafficking. So additionally to the laws and the offenses, this protocol also ensures our security and safety against organ trafficking as well. So here are a few Canadian guidelines of organ transplantation. So first of all, living donors are required to be genetically, legally, or emotionally related to the recipients. They must be well informed, the donors must be well informed, and voluntarily consent to the transplantation. There's no coercion involved. The donor selection is based on clinical criteria and ethical norms, not financial considerations. If illegal monetary benefits or somewhat was involved, then organ trafficking is present. And the promoting of the availability of organs for illegal monetary benefits should exist. And healthcare facilities, so hospitals, clinics, and professionals, so the doctors, the specialists, and nurses involved in the cells, tissue, or organ procurement and transplantation procedures shouldn't be receiving any payment exceeding the justifiable fee for the services rendered, meaning that they shouldn't be receiving anything additional to their wage. If they do, then that's a sign of organ trafficking. And the entire transplantation procedure must be transparent as possible. Maybe it can be reported or documented in a written form or something along the lines of that. And it should be open to screening. So if investigation or analysis is required, only if the procedure is transparent, then that would be feasible.
Okay, so what are some red flags of someone who has been organ trafficked? Organ trafficking can be voluntary or forced, and some red flags of voluntary organ trafficking are the person gets a large unexplained sums of money, and any debt that they had was unexpectedly paid off. Some red flags of forced organ trafficking are that the person appears to show signs of trauma. This can be both physically and mentally, and examples of this could be PTSD, bruises, cuts, etc. Red flags that can apply to both voluntary and forced organ trafficking are unexplained fresh scars on the body. And though this is not always true, the operation area may also appear improperly performed. For example, the wound may have jagged stitching or redness. The person may also avoid showing their body more than normal, and that's how they hide their scars. And the final red flag of organ trafficking is that the person does not qualify to be a healthy donor in the first place. It wouldn't make sense for a legitimate organization such as a hospital to ethically perform an organ transplant if the donor doesn't even qualify. So here are some statistics about organ trafficking. Did you know that 1 in 10 organ transplants involve a trafficked organ, and 10,000 kidneys are traded on the black market worldwide annually, and that 2,000 Indians sell their kidney every year? In fact, 8% of all kidney transplants are done with a trafficked kidney. And lastly, $1.3 billion was made from the illegal organ trade.
And on the screen here are some of the notes we have for the story. So the story is that the Wheat is a 19 years old who escaped Eritrea at the age of 13 to avoid forces to escape compulsory military duties for an indefinite period of time. He escaped due to his family paying smugglers to help travel from Sudan to Egypt. He struggled with debt and he had been desperate to go to Europe. So he had been looking for work, and a man who he met suggests a safe and easy way to get money is to sell a kidney. And the Wheat thought it was a good idea to make money and go to Europe. And the Wheat also remarked, how could I say no to $5,000 when I have nothing and my family needs my help? The Wheat described his experience as we drove all night to get to the hospital, and I remember walking downstairs and waiting to speak with the doctor.
Then I entered a room where I was asked to change my clothes and lie down on a bed. All I remember after was waking up and feeling a sharp pain in my side. I started shouting and cursing until the broker came to take me back to the apartment. After surgery had taken place, he had been taken by his broker, a man by the name of Ali. Ali took the weed to an apartment in Mohandasin district of Gaza, where he was introduced to Isaac, which is a Eritrean, who had been made a promise to take the weed to the media, where a boat would take him to Sicily. Ali had encouraged the wheat to accept the offer and claimed that he would use the money he owned the wheat for his passage. The wheat described his experiences in the incident as follows. I feel very comfortable with Isaac after talking. He was Eritrean, and he didn't look like a thief. He told me that he smuggles hundreds of people every month and that he doesn't need the money. He made me feel like he was the one doing me the favor, and he gave me his number and told me to call him when I was ready. The week spent his time recovering from a surgery in an apartment when he had strength, and he had called Isaac to confirm the arrangement for traveling. However, the reality was that the line was inactive and Ali is now nowhere to be seen. And the week believed that Ali had taken his money to go to Europe. He also had reported these issues to the police, but was threatened with deportations. So that's the story, and here are some the real case study notes we take from this story. So the main question is, what does an organ trafficker do, and why do people get into trouble? So there are 4 answers to these 2 questions. Firstly, promising visa and citizenship in wealthier countries, and many people in these communities lack education. So that means they don't have knowledge of why some of their organs are vital and the consequences of their health. And most sellers do not make their own free decision to whether to sell their organs. In most cases, it happens under manipulation. For example, false promises, misinformations, or coercion, which is threats to family, to expose legal status, etc. Lastly, when looking at this statistics, the supply of legal donated organs is much lower than the need. Next up is how human trafficking and smuggling are linked. According to European commissions, despite fewer numbers of migrants, asylum seekers, and refugees are crossing Egypt's central Mediterranean route, the de facto closure of borders has driven individuals to even greater extremities, strengthening criminals' network grip. Smugglers that operate out of Egypt and Libya has fees from 1,500 to 3,500 to maintain the profits. And they're unable to finance travel, so they refer the migrants to other trafficker in Cairo. And if migrants cannot make a payment of at least $3,500, they're treated like third-class passengers. And lastly, so here are some laws towards the organ trafficking. So what is legal or illegal, and also some law points towards to this real case. So in 2000, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the UN Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime as a response to the expansion of global crime. And one of its protocol is the protocol to prevent, suppress, and punish trafficking in persons, especially women and children. And with this protocol, UN opted for a broad definition of trafficking human beings, recognizing that an international instrument was needed to address all forms of THP. The definition of THP was widened to include the forced removal of organs, and many countries all over the world now has banned organ trafficking nationally. And in Egypt, the country in the wheat case has banned the buying and selling of organs since 2010. In fact, only post-mortuary donation is legal. Organ trafficking is banned in 100+ countries around the world, and however, it is a thriving practice. And it seems that only non-mass governments pass these laws, but actually enforce them. And just a side note that in the wheat case, the money was stolen and organ theft falls under organ trafficking, so there isn't any loss on it.
yeah, so we have quite a few things planning next. So first, we will be hosting some other events since we are pretty early. Oh, so yeah, by the way, we're not going to host any events in the summer because, you guys need to spend time with your family. And our first event will be in September. It will be on the Truth and Reconciliation Day for missing Indigenous persons. And that will be for September. For October, we don't have anything yet. And for November, we are planning to host a TEDx Youth live event with TEDx Youth at Toronto. It would probably be on November 27th, which is a Sunday. And it may be in person or online, depending on how COVID and other stuff is going, and whether we can rent a location or not, a venue or not. But yeah, and the theme will be about obstacles and opportunities. So if you have any interest in sharing your own experiences, or if you know someone who would like to share their own experiences, doesn't have to be specifically human trafficking ish. It can be about anything. We just want to host something that can, have people talk about their ideas, as TED has their slogan motto thing, ideas worth spreading. So that's something that we hope to do this year as well. If you don't have anything to say but also want to engage in performance, we also have around 3 to 4 performer spots that we can give out. As always, volunteer hours will be given to people who participate and just help out with these event coordinations. So yeah, that's that, and we will plan other stuff later on. I promise it will only be better than what we have now. And always also something that is not event or oriented, we also plan to work with local therapy clinics or maybe even educational resources to actually help victims rebuild their lives after they get out of the game, and just basically empower their future lives, just like how they deserve a great life, just like everyone else does. So yeah, that's for the future.